Alright, so now let's look at factoring when a is greater than 1. Alright, so our first example, we have 2n squared minus 5n minus 25. So this is where we're going to take our first number, this first coefficient that's in front of my first term, this 2, and I'm going to borrow it. I'm going to multiply with my c. So I'm taking my a and I'm multiplying it with my c, and I'm borrowing it for the time being. Right, then we're going to rewrite the new trinomial. So we get n squared minus 5n minus 50. Well, now this is a trinomial where my a value is 1, and we're able to factor this. So you can draw a quick table if you need to, or if you see the factors right away, you're going to look at what factors to c, which is negative 50, and what's going to add to my b, which is negative 5. So you can list your factors of 50, 1 and 50, 2 and 25, 5 and 10. We have to multiply to a negative 50, but add to a negative 5. So my bigger numbers are going to be negative. So the 5 and negative 10, we can see are my factors. They're going to add to a negative 5. So when we're factoring, I'm going to leave some space because we would have n plus 5 times n minus 10. Now, I left some space in this front part because remember, when we borrow things, we have to give it back. So we borrowed this 2. Well, now we have to give back the 2. So I'm going to place the 2 in front of both of my variables. Okay, so now we have to look at each factor, and we're going to try to reduce it if possible. So my left factor, the 2n plus 5, well, I can't reduce either of those by anything, so that one's going to stay the same. But my second factor, the 2n minus 10, well, I can reduce both of those by dividing them both by 2. So we're going to reduce that factor. So this one stays, the 2n plus 5, and 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I'm left with n, minus 10 divided by 2 is going to be negative 5. So our factor form is 2n plus 5 times n minus 5. And again, you can always check by FOILing it back out. So example 2, we have 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my a term and I'm going to multiply it by my c. So 3 times a negative 8 is going to give me negative 24. And now we just want to rewrite the rest of our trinomial. And we can factor it now. So we're going to figure out what multiplies to negative 24. It's going to add to negative 2. And so my factors of 24 are 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. If you don't need to draw the table, that's fine. If you see what the factors are right away, that's great. They have to add to a negative, so my bigger numbers are going to be negative. So we can see that my two factors are going to be 4 and negative 6, because 4 plus a negative 6 is going to be negative 2. All right, so now I'm going to draw and write my two factors. So I borrowed that 3, so now we have to give it back. So I'm going to put it in front of my variable, 3x plus 4 times 3x minus 6. So now we're going to look at each of the two factors and see if either of them can be simplified or reduced. So my first factor, 3x plus 4, nothing can be divided out of each, a 3 and a 4. So that one just stays. Now if you look at 3x minus 6, well, 3 and 6, they both can be divided by 3. So I'm going to reduce that factor to x minus 2. And that is our factored form.